sexual energy creates life energy. Now, when we can tap into this energy, then you use it. It's a vital energy. It's an energy that creates life, not just babies, our own life. It's a wellspring of our own life and vitality.
Yeah.
Now, if we're disconnected from that, as we have been under these old social structures which sort of made sex bad and taboo and disconnected us from what was down here,
Yeah.
when we're disconnected from this vital source of life energy, vitality, we get old and weak and we lose our essence. And this is why people grow old. Of course, this is the other thing about life. We also die. Yes, that's a fact. But we don't have to get old.
Yeah.
You only get old if you're losing that vital energy, if you're not replenishing it. So one of the lovely, lovely things about getting in touch with your sexuality is that you awaken this energy, and it's something that is constantly flowing inside you.
Hey, and welcome to Connected with Melissa J. Scott. I'd love to introduce you to my next guest, who is Jacqueline Hellyer, who is the most amazing woman. And I met Jacqueline nearly a year ago when I did a Luscious Woman, I think is the name of the course that I did with you.
Yes.
That's right. And I'll give you a little bit of a brief introduction, but then I'll switch over to you and let you just explain more about it. Your bio is long. So
Yep.
I'll try and summarize it, and you can just add in the bits that I might have missed. But you're a sex therapist, an educator, a relationship coach, speaker, author, and a blogger. You are an accredited psychosexual therapist, a certified coach, you've got a Master's of Science in Sexual Health. Your website said you're undertaking a Master's in Transpersonal Psychology.
Yes.
Beautiful. You're also experienced in Tantra and Daoism. I can never pronounce that properly. And other alternative kind of sexual practices. But what you really do, which is what I love, is you help individuals and couples really find themselves not just through sex therapy, but just with relationship counselling and coaching as well. So it's very holistic in your approach. Yeah. I don't think anybody does what you do.
No, probably not.
So you've got 3 books as well, which is amazing. I'll quickly summarise those. Great Sex After Kids, a survival guide. Sex Secrets for Busy People, and I've dabbled in this one, 7 Sex Goddesses, Sexual Reawakening for Today's Woman, which I love. But your clients are men and women, so I just want to say that right up front. And it's not just all about sex. We were talking about that before we logged in. This podcast is all about connection, and connection to self, connection to each other, relationships, who you are around yourself with, and I guess breaking down barriers, wouldn't you agree, and creating those connections. So I'm going to throw over to you and let you segue into sort of like what your life's purpose is. But I also want to get that history from you about how we ended up in the situation where we are right now.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, look, humans are essentially bonding creatures. That's how we function. We have right from the start, we're in small groups, we connect with people, and it is so fundamental to our health and well-being, emotional, physical, mental, and everything, that we have good quality connections with significant people in our lives. That is the essence of being human. We're not solo animals. We're not like, a wild puma in the jungle or, some of those where they spend a lot of the time on their own. No, we need other people.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably a few exceptions, but that's what people are, right? And one of the ways that we have really quality connection, particularly with our most intimate beloved, is through sex, okay? And so my particular interest in sex is in how it can make us better people. It evolved in humans primarily so that we would bond, because as we evolved into modern humans with these enormous big brains, our enormous big brains meant that we had to give birth much more prematurely than most other mammals. Most mammals, when their babies are born, they can toddle along behind mum, they can cling to her back, or they can stay in the den while she goes off and gets food and brings it back to them. That's what most mammals are like. Right? In most mammals, you don't need dads. There is really no sense of fatherhood. They do the job at the start and then they can go off. Then they can impregnate lots of other females if they want, right? That's how most mammals do it, right? Not all, of course. There's plenty that don't. Dolphins and some others and so forth. Anyway, but the thing about humans is because our babies are born so prematurely, totally helpless. I mean, they can't even hold up their necks, for heaven's sake. It actually takes about 7 years to get a child to a level that most mammals are at within a month or so.
Yeah.
7 years. Now, in prehistoric times, there is no way a single female could have done that on her own. They're just too high maintenance, which is why we tend to group in little tribes, why we say it takes a village to raise a child, because it actually does.
Yeah,
it actually does. You can't do it on your own. So in humans as a species, we need dads. Fatherhood is a really necessary part of human experience.
Yeah.
Now, this is why many evolutionary specialists believe that we are so sexual, because in fact we are just about the most sexual species on the planet. Certainly among mammals, right? Other than say dolphins, who also pair bond, right? We can have sex at any time. It's not just when the female is in heat. Our bottoms don't get big and blue and everyone goes, oh, let's have sex, right? It can happen at any time. And the reason for this is because in humans, sex is a bonding function.
Yeah.
We don't have sex just to reproduce. You only need to do that a few times and we're, reproducing the species. So, and this is why sex is so pleasurable. This is why we enjoy it so much. It's also why, post-child rearing age, older people still like sex because we need the grandparents around. We want the grandparents to be loved up. It probably explains why there's so many homosexuals in our society as well, because, we all need the uncles and the aunts and,
yeah,
right? It's not just about reproduction. So this is where we start to understand why sex is such an important issue. Now, unfortunately, and I'll get to it shortly because I know this is what you want me to talk about, when we look at more recent human history, we see why it got so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for the last few thousand years or so, we haven't had this understanding of sex. Even though modern humans have been around for about 200,000 years. And for most of that time, we suspect life was actually pretty good. We roamed the world. There was plenty of space. There was plenty of food. We lived in hospitable areas. I'm not saying it was all perfect, but it was certainly not the brutish, hard existence that we sometimes think, cavemen had. It was actually pretty cool. And interestingly, it seems that God was a woman for that time. Like all the traditional cultures, the head deity was female, and this whole concept of the earth mother, and that the earth is our mother who provides for us and gives us gifts and nurtures us. It all makes sense. It makes sense. Unfortunately, as a species, we're so good at cooperating, maybe because of all the good sex we were having, we became very populous, and the earth started to get crowded.
Yeah.
And along with that, we developed agriculture, which meant that we had to stay in the same location. We couldn't just kind of move all over the place, which meant the concepts of mine versus yours was new. Like in some traditional cultures, like for instance, the North American Indians, they really had no concept of mine. Yeah, that was one of the things they really struggled with when Europeans first came to America. They're like, how can you own land? Like that does not make sense. The land is our mother. How do you say it's mine? It's not mine. They really struggled with that. And chances are, that was the general sort of view of earlier cultures and so forth. So so we had to look after our turf. We had to protect our turf as well. Right? And then what happened? And I was just reading recently, and it sounds like it made a lot of sense, that area of Asia, that's where all the stands are, Afghanistan and Kurdistan and all those stands, used to be very lush and had a big population, but there was an environmental crisis and it became very dry. So there were a lot of immigrants or refugees, basically, and they were all moving west and so forth. And being desperate, they started fighting.
Mm.
There is actually, it seems, right, I'm not an expert on this, so if there's any like historians out there going, oh, what's she talking about? Like I do have to say, you know, I'm not a trained historian, but I've read a lot about this because I'm really interested in it.
Yeah.
That there wasn't actually any sign of warfare in humans until 5,000 years ago, which is when this was happening. It's
Yeah.
for the first time that we find townships and so forth with fortifications. Before then, it seems that we didn't really need it as a species.
Because we had enough land, because there was enough space.
They didn't need to fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's been some interesting studies done with monkeys that when they're confined, they become very aggressive with each other. And the males become sexually aggressive towards the females, whereas when they're in their natural habitat and have plenty of space, they're not aggressive, and usually the females are more assertive sexually than the men.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting to see, like, this is what actually started happening in our society. So because we had to protect ourselves more, the more masculine values and all that testosterone stuff and aggression and strength and power became more popular and more necessary.
Yeah.
And interestingly, at the same time, our gods changed. So instead of having the head female deity as a male, we had it as a female. I mean, as a female, we had it as a male. My apologies. Yeah, right. And the female became the wife or the consort, and often her status in society got lower and lower until eventually, you know, a few thousand years ago, we got rid of any concept of female gods at all, and it was just the one male god, and he was a very authoritarian god. You know, you had to do what God wanted, or, you know, you were in really big trouble. And along the way, there was very major shifts in society as well. And we moved from having a primarily matrilineal society where the family line goes down the female side, which makes sense because you always know who the mother is, to a patrilineal side, patrilineal line, which is a bit difficult because how is a man going to know who the mother of his child is? DNA testing, unless he makes damn sure she doesn't have sex with anyone else.
Yep.
Right? And to do that, well, primarily you lock her up so she can't get out. So this is where we start getting these ideas of females as being possessions of men, and men having total control over the females. And if a woman didn't do what her husband wanted, you know, she'd be, you know, stoned to death or burnt alive or locked up, you know, like horrible, or just shamed.
On a timeline, we're talking about a couple of thousand years?
A bit more than that, yeah, but definitely around 3,000. Yeah. It was sort of, you know, it's evolved over time.
Yeah.
And it sort of started about 5,000 years. That's when this really patriarchal sort of system started coming into play. They weren't around before that. Yeah, and so that's a bit crude, just to keep your women folk locked up all the time. So the other thing that happened is that we started bringing up our girl children to think that they shouldn't be sexual.
Yeah.
That it was wrong if they were sexual. Right? And then if for some reason she was still sexual, well, then you could go back to the locking her up and stoning her to death and doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, wow.
In Australia in the 1970s, a girl could still be locked up in a mental institution for promiscuity.
Yeah, that's frightening. I was born in 1971.
Yeah, I know.
That's frightening.
I know. It's bizarre. And, you know, before that, a father could lock his daughter up for no reason other than he thought she was mentally ill because she acted out sexually in some way. There's some horrific stories coming out of women who were actually spent virtually their entire adult lives in mental asylums.
Yeah.
Victorian era and for no reason other than their dads thought they were too promiscuous or sexual. You know, and so many of the women burnt as witches, it was because of sexual reasons. And, you know, some parts of the world, they still stone women to death for adultery, yet it's rare that the man is stoned to death for adultery. So anyway, I might be rambling on, but
no, this is fascinating, and I love you to create the framework because it makes us understand how the hell we got to this point.
Yeah, right. So in all of that time, we didn't tell our girls anything about sexuality. And still now when I talk to women, I always say, well, look, did your mother talk to you about sex? Did she tell you about your clitoris? Did she talk to you about how you negotiate an ongoing quality sex life that maximizes your pleasure and connection? No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A handful of women, and even then it's not the negotiating the pleasure side of things, it's just a bit more anatomy, right? You know, no. So girls knew nothing and still know very little. Boys, what did the boys know? Well, the boys knew masturbation.
Yeah.
Right? But they also kind of knew that it was kind of bad, because on top of all of this, and I haven't even talked about this, is the fact that, with the church having control, the best way to control a population is to control its sexuality, right? So our sexuality is so fundamental and so basic to who we are as individuals, as humans, that when you start putting mistrust and unsurety and not knowing, and then throwing in a healthy amount of shame and guilt into something that's so fundamental, you screw everybody up, and then you can control them.
Yeah.
Right? So even though the boys were masturbating, they felt bad about it. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to get hairy palms, or I'm going to go to hell, or, is God watching me? So then they get married, thank God for that, knowing nothing other than masturbation, and their wives knowing nothing whatsoever, except that she was economically dependent on him, so she had to, meet his needs.
Yeah.
Basically, the kind of sex that they had was masturbatory. It's, I feel horny. It's all about the genital friction until he ejaculates. Yeah. And guess what? Even though we've had a sexual revolution, that is still our standard model of sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's seen as a very basic kind of biological thing. Most sexological, most of the medical establishment look at sex as primarily as a physiological thing. It's kind of this urge that needs to be met, and if you don't have an urge, you've got a problem. If it's not being met, you've got a problem. It's all a problem. So,
with no answers, by the way, just problems.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, look, if your bits are functioning, you're fine. Yeah. She's lubricating and he's got an erection, well, off you go. We've kind of moved a little bit further along, and now pleasure's okay, and we're sort of, although we're still a bit funny about the whole pleasure thing, sexual pleasure, because all that shame and guilt is still very firmly entrenched. But, most people know that, well, it should feel good. That's okay. It's okay to feel good, but we still don't really know how to make it feel good, or what that involves, and what is good anyway, and what are we allowed to do, and what should we do and shouldn't we do, and if I want to do this, is this okay? I don't know, what are other people doing? So, for most people, it really is a bit of a head fuck, let alone what's happening down there, which is why there often isn't much fucking going on. And if there is, it's often not very good quality, right? Because people are trying to make sense of using a model that is horribly limited, with very little, if any, external information.
Yeah.
We don't give our kids sex education. We give them reproduction education.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of porn out there, which is what looks good, not what feels good. Where do people go to get the information? It's really hard to find good quality information around sexuality.
Yeah.
And even if you can, it's still missing this fundamental thing about, why do we have sex anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, which is the whole reason why I got you on to talk.
Yes.
To normalise something that's a beautiful exchange between human beings.
Yes. Yes, absolutely it is, right? So the first thing we have to do is normalise and say it is really good. We also have to normalise the fact that we live in a sexually dysfunctional society, which is why most people are sexually dysfunctional. It's not us as individuals, it's the society. It's the model we're trying to fit into. It's the attitudes we have, and it's the lack of information and the myths that we're living by. All this crap like men are more sexual than women? What? No way. If anything, when you understand our anatomy and physiology, women are more sexual than men.
Yeah.
The reason why women aren't being sexual is because of that history. It's because they're trying to fit into a model of sex that is in no way going to allow women to fully experience and express their sexuality, right? It is boring. Most women I talk to who say they don't like sex or they're not interested in sex, it's because the sex they're having is awful.
Yeah, and they can't even talk about that because they feel like it's probably their fault.
Yes, so often. Yeah, so often, or else they blame their husband if they've got a lot of confidence, and then he's like, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, God, and confidence. How much does confidence come into this? Just brought that word up. I mean, it's an easy way to make somebody feel pretty shit about themselves is to criticize them in some sort of sexual way.
Oh, yeah. And a way to make an entire population lacking confidence is to make sure they have absolutely no information or very little information or very conflicted information, and primarily wrong information about something that is really fundamental.
So, okay, so we're sort of here now in the present day.
Yes.
And we had like a sexual revolution in the 70s, would you say? I mean, that's kind of
60s,
like,
70s. Well, it sort of evolved over last
yeah.
century with some more progress and less progress, but yeah.
Yeah, and we're kind of here now, and we're kind of in it and out of it. Like, some people profess to having amazing sex lives and
Yep.
beautiful connections. Other
Yep.
people just kind of glaze over and think that the other people are lying. So
Yeah.
you're at the coalface, aren't you?
I am at the coalface all day, every day. Yeah, I'm hacking away at that coal. Yeah.
What I love is that you're bringing the two together. So it's about relationships, and it's also about, well, what's happening in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Is that confronting for some people? I mean, then when they come to see you, I guess they know that's your mantra. But yeah, why you're doing it so differently to most people in your industry? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm also different because so many sexologists. Look, there's a lot of really fabulous people out there. Don't get me wrong, but so many people are still operating within a sexual paradigm that is not healthy, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. Right? So many, and it's not just around sex; it's about male-female relations and so forth. A lot of people are trying to understand male-female relations underneath a patriarchal model without even realize that they're looking at it from under that. I'd see a lot of well-being people sort of the only way that they can explain male-female dynamics is from some sort of power dynamic, as though it has to be a power dynamic. No. It's only under patriarchal ways of seeing the world that there has to be a power thing.
Can you dumb that down for us a bit? I understand that as being a masculine way to look at things. Is that what you mean?
No, I don't mean it's masculine. And we have to be careful. Like, this is one thing we've got to be really careful about, that we don't see that patriarchy is about men dominating women.
Yeah.
Patriarchy is a way of thought which, yes, does put men above women, but on the whole, no one wins. No one wins under patriarchy. When we look at men in our society, they're more unhappy, more depressed, more suicidal, like they die younger. It just, having more power does not actually make you a happier, a healthier person. In fact, they don't even think that they have power, right?
Yeah.
Yes, compared to some others, but what are you defining power? What are you defining goodness as? If you're talking about salaries and income, yes, they have more power, right? But if you say that that's more important than health and well-being and happiness, then you're also seeing this from within a patriarchal model. You are saying they have more power because they have higher salaries.
Yeah.
Right?
It's bred into us from birth. It's just
yeah, exactly. And this is why it's really interesting. In fact, I was just talking to a client today who had booked in to see me, and then she wrote to say, "Oh, actually, no, look, I've realised that my problem isn't about sex. It's actually about a whole heap of emotional stuff and attitudes to sex. I'm going to stay with my current psychotherapist." And I'm like, look, that's all fine, because sex is so much more than just what your genitals are doing, right?
Yeah.
But and you do have to go way, way, way deeper than that. And look, some psychotherapists are trained enough in that, but a lot of them are also operating. I mean, a lot of my own colleagues who are trained psychosexual therapists are still operating within that paradigm, right? And they're saying that there has to be this intrinsic difference between male and female, and I mean, there is obviously, women make babies and men can't.
Yeah.
So why does that make us inferior? Like, if you think of it logically, that would actually make females superior to men. Yeah. Men can't make life.
Yeah.
Why do we not say that that's the most amazing thing? Surely the ability to produce a baby is more miraculous, more wondrous, and more amazing than having a higher salary. But do we see that in our society? No, because we're operating under these old-fashioned patriarchal value systems.
So no wonder people are quite messed up when they come and see you.
Yes. It takes a lot. And, I don't want to make it seem even, more harder and confusing for people. I like to give people this information so you can just take a deep breath and go, oh, no wonder we're all so screwed up.
Yeah. Takes the pressure off, though, like the knowledge. And that's why I wanted to get you on the show, because it takes the pressure off and it just gives a fresh perspective. So you start to look at stuff, and even just as a female, I can sit in pride of what I've accomplished as having birthed 3 sons, and when you view yourself, some people would never have viewed themselves as such power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And this isn't to diss men and say that because they can't make babies, they don't have the power. You know, this is not sort of saying, oh, women are better. We don't want a matriarchy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's just flipping it so at least for 5 minutes you can actually just see it another way.
Yeah, it's actually about getting rid of all of that constricting stuff and just going, hey, look, this is a really great thing.
Mm.
Now, and I want to take it a step further, and it might sound a bit woohoo to some people, but, stay with me. Now, there were societies in the past that did see sex as a really positive thing, and they used it for their personal growth, for their spiritual growth, to enhance their love, their well-being, and even their long life.
Yeah, I love that.
What they saw is that the sexual energy, so I'm going to use like energy type language, so bear with me, whether you think of it as energy or just as a concept.
Please do. I love that.
The sexual energy creates the life energy. Sex creates life. We all know that. That's the definition of life. It comes from a sexual act. Otherwise, it's inert. Stones, this chair, a house, it's inert. It was not created by sex. Everything living, whether it's an animal, an insect, a plant, it's produced sexually. That's the definition of life. Sex creates life. Sexual energy creates life energy. Now, when we can tap into this energy, then you use it. It's a vital energy. It's an energy that creates life, not just babies, our own life. It's a wellspring of our own life and vitality.
Yeah.
Now, if we're disconnected from that, as we have been under these old social structures which sort of made sex bad and taboo and disconnected us from what was down here, right? So we all become heads wandering around on a body and God knows what's going on down there. Does it even exist? Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're disconnected from this vital source of life energy, vitality, we get old and weak and we lose our essence. And this is why people grow old. Yeah? When I say they grow old, I don't mean they age. We all age.
Yeah, up here. Yeah, they just grow.
Yeah, wrinkles. Of course, this is the other thing about life. We also die. Yes, that's a fact. But we don't have to get old.
Yeah.
You only get old if you're losing that vital energy, if you're not replenishing it. So one of the lovely, lovely things about getting in touch with your sexuality is that you awaken this energy. And it's something that is constantly flowing inside you.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's something that is enhanced with your beloved, so that when two people come together and they're in touch with this lovely vital life energy that flows within each of them, and then they share it with open heart and love, not with sordidness and, this is all bad and oh God, let's just get this over and done with or whatever.
Yeah.
When you can open into that and do it with love and joy, and yes, you can be playful and you can be naughty and you can be sexual if you want to, but it's coming from a good place and it feeds you and it nourishes you and it gives you energy. Right?
I love that.
This is how our sexual relating should be. This is how our sexual connection should be. And then the more we build on that, the healthier we are as individuals, physically and mentally, and then the better quality relations that we will have with other people. It's like we're constantly sharing the goodness.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what I'm hearing from you too is it's not just about having to be in a relationship with someone. It sounds like it starts with you first. Having
absolutely.
A relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
First. So probably one of my questions will be then is, if somebody's listening to this and they're going, oh, this is great, this sounds amazing, but I've Googled Tantra or I've Googled something else and I've ended up on some really shady site and I don't know, navigate the next steps of just trying to, have a really wholesome, beautiful, connected, physical, sexual relationship with myself before I even dream of telling my partner all about this. Yeah. How does one navigate that?
Well, you can do one of my online courses. I have online courses for men and women.
I love that. That's perfect. And I'll get you to, so what's the name of that? What's the name of your website?
Well, my website is JacquelineHellyer.com.
Perfect. I'll put that in the notes.
Yes, please do. And then, / online courses. And you'll see one for women called Luscious Women.
Yeah.
Which is also the name of the live workshop that I do.
I'll give a testimonial now. I attended that last July, I think it was, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful sharing experience. There was about 20 women in the room, and it was incredibly engaging and very worthwhile. Everybody really was moved. in every way, very emotionally. It was a full clothes on, beautiful, clean experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was really tasteful. It was excellent.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't need to take your clothes off to be sex. Sex is not about the genitals. I mean, yeah, we cover that a bit, but, but no, nothing exposed. So, yeah, so the online one is like an online version of that. And then the men's one is called Black Belt in the Bedroom.
Yeah.
And they go through the 7 stages of sexuality, which is a concept that I've developed myself. I'm hoping one day to write the book on it when I have enough time. At the moment, I'm so busy seeing clients and running retreats and stuff. I don't have time to write, but I will, not to mention all the masters and stuff. But, yeah, I've got a few more books in me. So it sort of takes you through these levels. And as a couple, you can also individually do your ones and then talk about each level as you do it. Again, really beautiful and inspiring. Of course, you can come to any of my couples retreats. I mean, they're wonderful as well in Bali and also in the Blue Mountains near Sydney.
Yeah.
So, and a blog. If you don't want to spend money, I've got a free blog. It's got 303 articles on it at the moment. So, and they're all podcasts, lots of podcasts. So, yeah, certainly I personally can offer a lot of support for people. And look, I'm not the only person. There are some really good people out there. As you say, there's also a lot of really shady people out there. So, look, trust your intuition, but do make sure you read the about page. Because there are far too many people out there who just get it into their heads that, I want to help people, and so I'm going to start running courses, and I'm a coach, I do intimacy coaching, and I'm going to do all of this. But when you actually look at their qualifications, they have none.
Yeah.
Good intention, and look, I admire them if they've gone through a difficult phase and they've come out of it better the other side. That's wonderful. But that does not qualify you to help other people to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I really hear what you're saying there. Yeah, great advice.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm certainly not saying I'm the only good person in the world. No.
Well, I only ask that question because it is, from personal experience and friends that are happy to talk about this stuff. You don't know where to go. You don't know where, because it is still so taboo.
Yeah.
And if you bring it up, you feel like you're really overtly sexual. And from a female perspective of my age, maybe younger is different, but of my age, it can be like, it's, you're putting yourself out there on a limb, Even when I decided to have you as a guest on the podcast, I was a bit like, ooh, what will my clients think? And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get challenged in all these levels, and we should be able to have these conversations. So just is there good reference material? Like, we've got your reference material, but do you turn to books? Do you, where do you go? What do you? A local Tantra outlet. What do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of good books out there as well, so, you can browse. I mean, if your listeners want to get in contact, I can recommend some books and so forth. But, look, you've got to start trusting your intuition. And, Tantra should not be too confronting. It should not require you to take your clothes off in front of other people, right? It certainly should not involve you having sex with other people. What Tantra essentially is about a way of getting more in touch with yourself and developing spiritually, or at least developing yourself, increasing your self-awareness and broadening your consciousness, and about using your sexuality as part of that. As I said, it's this basic intrinsic life energy that you get in touch with, and you do that with your beloved.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse to take your clothes off and have an orgy just because you're chanting Om. No. If you want to have an orgy and chant Om, fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but call it what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's probably we don't even have the language at the moment.
No.
Oh, yeah. So let's, because we need to wrap up soon, let's say, how do we have these conversations with our kids then? So because, I've got 3 young adult sons who I think I'm quite liberated and have nice chats to them, but, give them more information and more context around this. What would you've got adult children too, or young adult children.
Yeah, teenagers and young adult, 16 to 24.
Exactly the same,
Yeah, and, it's always been a topic of conversation in our household. Right from when they were tiny, they knew that mummy and daddy had cuddle time on a Sunday morning, right? Like, right from the earliest age, it was normalised that mummy and daddy have this private time, and when they were little, they saw it as cuddles. Okay, that makes sense. We like cuddles, and they're making love. Yay, lots of cuddles, all good, they're happy, right? So... But, and then as they got older and they learned more about sex, and we could kind of go, well, that's cuddle time. They're like, oh, well, that's a good thing then, right? They don't see it as this like, whoa, sex, whoa thing that most kids still get,
Yeah, that's
Right.
yeah.
And then when they do start looking at porn, as inevitably they will, don't kid yourself, parents, they've got more of this context that, and from an early age, talk to your kids too, of that, porn, if and when you do look at it, it's designed to be visually titillating. It's something that looks good. It's not what feels good.
Yeah.
Porn is not sex education.
That's a great distinction, I think. I think that's where people really lose it. And
Yeah.
I don't know, porn is just a disaster. I think there's a really massive opportunity for people to make essentially some really beautiful, classy porn, but that's another conversation.
No, there isn't, because it's boring.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of the stuff that feels good, it's boring. You don't want to spend an hour watching a couple kissing tenderly and massaging each other and then, and then going into an embrace and just feeling this for like minutes on end. It's boring.
To watch. Yeah.
If we're going to watch something, we want to be entertained. We want, oh, this is great. Because it looks good.
I've so got the distinction now. I can't wait to have a chat with my boys tonight at dinner.
Yeah. And something that is really, really important, because my clients are always saying to me, how do we talk to our kids about sex? And I said, the first thing you have to do is feel good about it yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling good about your sexuality and the whole concept of sex, it's going to come across.
Yeah.
So sort yourself out. Make ssure you two, assuming you're still with your partner, with their parent, or with it's your new partner or whomever it's with, that you can dialogue, that you can feel comfortable talking about sex between you. And then it's going to come across much more smoothly to your kids. And your kids will know that, actually, if I've got a sexual issue, I can talk to my parents about it.
Yeah, I really love that. That's such a beautiful message, actually, to end on, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to encourage people to reach out to you. Please go to your website and get onto that newsletter, because it's a really excellent email newsletter that you send out with a blog and just with general information, and you can just absorb it, bit by bit as you can handle, really.
It's just a nice, normal part of life. And eventually you get to the point where you're just like, just this, which is great. It's like food. Food is good. Food is fun. Food is, it's like, it's all good.
Why don't you set some homework for everybody? I've just spontaneously thought of that.
We're on the spot.
I know. I just for me, it'd be like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go have a really good conversation with my kids about it.
Yeah.
And which I sort of do anyway, but even be more lighthearted and just really open and genuine about it, and just open up the lines of communication. That would be my homework,
Absolutely. And like, if you want a really specific thing, that's something that a lot of my clients will do, is they'll go to my blog and they will just choose an article, or they'll listen to it as the podcast, and then they'll just talk about it. It's like, okay, here's a topic, let's just have a discussion about it.
Yeah, so good.
That will start getting you more used to talking about things of an intimate nature.
Because it's just a muscle to exercise, isn't it? Just get more and more comfortable, and then it's amazing, I guess, the openness that it'll open up in your relationship.
Oh, yeah, and then it just gets better and better.
Yeah.
Like, sex should get better and better with age. Like a fine wine, it gets deeper and more complex and more subtle, so that you're still having wonderful sex into your 90s. And when I say sex, it's not just about your genitals.
Yeah, that's the take home from this. It's not just about the wham bam and it's about the exchange and the
and the pleasure at all different. I mean, we didn't even start talking about how the sex act can look and what it feels. But I tell you what, just to finish, I'm just going to say, you start to explore feelings that are so much better and broader than just your normal little, genital orgasm. You get whole body orgasms. You get into states of altered consciousness, bliss states, so loved up. Like, if people were doing this all the time, we wouldn't need drugs and alcohol, and we wouldn't be fighting. And it's here, it's within us as individuals. It's in us. It's just in us. So
it's funny, we're right in the middle while we're talking to each other. For people in real time, we're in self-isolation in this COVID virus thing. We didn't want to talk about that too much, but what a wonderful opportunity for people to do some homework.
Absolutely. Like, just go register for my online courses. Seriously, you can use this time to learn and share and practice. And
reconnect, because this is all about connection, the podcast. also what I'm hearing from you, and thank you so much, is all about the connection back to self, know thyself, and then share that goodness with your loved one. It comes from a beautiful, loving place. I really love that.
Just lovely chatting as always, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And I hope if you guys got anything from this, it's just to reach out, ask questions, be honest and transparent, and just love. Love is it, isn't it, Jacqueline?
Love.
Thank you. See you next week, guys.